Hi, I thought I would start my journey into creating the Kursed Piranha number 2 by documenting what the building looks like prior to having any decoration or any installation of any of my collection of Tiki things. We've had this building up now for about 4 months. We had it done just after Christmas. And essentially between then and now it's been used just as storage. So it's got all my Tiki stuff in, but it does also have a significant amount of furniture from IKEA at the moment, which is going into a fitted walk-in wardrobe in the house. And then once that's all complete, it means that I can repurpose its space to stop being a storeroom and actually start being our Tiki bar, the Kursed Piranha number 2. So I'll just go through a couple of things. The building itself is a 10 by 14 foot construction. I bought the building off eBay and the company came and assembled it for us, but we had to build a cement base first, and we laid some decking as well, just so that it kind of coincides with our outside area. But we haven't finished that yet either. So the building itself, it's got bifold doors, which I will cover with something ultimately. I'm thinking maybe some curtains inside. I've got loads of bark cloth that I got from Hawaii a few years ago. Maybe some form of screening, maybe something that looks a little bit like jade tiles. We'll have to see. So this end here is going to be the bar itself, and you'll see I've got my 1950s, 60s bamboo bar here. In my first Tiki bar, this is all we had as the bar area, along with the 2 stools, which again are vintage, but it didn't really give enough space to work in. So what I decided to do in this version, because we've got a couple of extra feet in each direction compared to the last building, is put a full width bar across the back as well. So I purchased myself some pine, again from the specialists online. I can't remember what they were called, but essentially it's a pine worktop, and I'm going to burn the worktop and then seal it in resin, and it will run all the way across here. And then underneath, and you'll see when I put up the image of what I've produced using like an AutoCAD sort of online software thing to design it, is that I'm going to have a mixture of cabinets and then like a fridge and a freezer that I'll wrap in bamboo wrap as well, just so it looks quite fitting. Put a couple of shelves up as well, which I will Dremel the fronts of to make it look hand carved, and then all of the booze can go on there and we'll have plenty of working space there. So more or less the way that it's set out now is how it will look ultimately. This is my pretzel style, Frankel style furniture set. So I've got a single armchair there and then a 3-seater sofa just tucked behind all my stuff. And this is probably the best bargain I've ever scored in my entire life. The people who were selling it didn't know what they had. I don't think it was advertised on eBay as 1970s conservatory set. So I was the only bidder for it, and the starting bid was £20. My maximum I was prepared to spend on it was considerably more, but I put my bid in with just a couple of seconds to spare, thinking I was going to be outbid, and I was the only bidder, so I got it for £20 without the upholstery. But I do have the upholstery, I have the cushions. My mum actually really helped me with that. It's the Melon Lani bark cloth from Big Kahuna Fabrics in Hawaii. I don't think you can buy it anymore, but it's really beautiful fabric. I've got a little bit left over as well. So in the corner here, what we're going to do is we're going to put our hanging chair suspended from the rafters. It's outside at the moment, it's just down there. So we plan to keep the outside hold for it, but put some clips in on the ceiling here, so we can bring it in here and have it sort of indoor outdoor, and I'll make a matching cushion that will go with the armchair and the sofa. So other furniture, I've got an Albini coffee table here, which I picked up for about £25, maybe 10 years ago, which I know is an absolute steal. I do need to give it a bit of a treatment. I think it's looking a bit sad, it's looking a bit pale, so it does need some repair work done. And then tucked away here in the corner behind my IKEA mirror is what was originally my Tiki mug cabinet in the old Tiki bar. So it was basically just a cheap cabinet. I think it was a tenner off eBay, and I put some leopard print wallpaper on the back of it, and it just holds the mugs really. So that's all it was ever needed for, all it was designed for. But it fits perfectly in this corner now. Above it is the round bamboo shelving unit from Little Grass Shack. That's not going to go here ultimately. That will go on this wall here, above the coffee table. This space here is just a little bit narrow, I think, to be able to fit it in. So I'll be fitting it here centrally, and it'll be nice and symmetrical above that table. Next to it is my, again, sounds like I'm sponsored by IKEA, I'm really not, my IKEA lamp, which used to have a completely different lampshade on it. I think it was white and plastic, but I binned that, and I've got this one now. I wrapped the stem in rope, and there is a flickering light bulb in there which looks really beautiful when switched on. The lampshade itself actually came from somewhere like Sainsbury's a few years ago, and it had a little tube inside it, like a cream fabric tube, and I cut that out just so you can see straight through. And actually the corresponding shade is here on this New Zealand base, again with the flickering candles. So that's a really nice set, just to kind of give some different lighting effects. The stools I picked up from a charity shop in Newbury quite a few years ago now. I think they were £7.50 each. I know they're worth a lot more. I can't remember the make of them, but they're not incredibly comfortable, but they kind of go with my style. So I think if you've got a small bottom, they're a great place to sit. But yeah, not hugely comfortable for your sort of average build of person these days. In the back you can see I've got again a vintage snake plant holder, and I normally just have like 6 fake ferns hanging off that. The Tiki bar doesn't get enough light during the day really to have real plants living in here healthily. So that looks quite good with the fake ones. Again, I think I bought it for £10 or £15 at a vintage market in Wales, very, very West Wales. Tiki torches are there, they'll ultimately go outside. I've got strips of bamboo, and then I've got the rolled bamboo here, which forms the lower half of the walls usually. The bamboo here that's already wrapped in the plastic will, obviously once I've unwrapped it, go along the ceilings, and then I'll partition it with some other bamboo just so it doesn't look like one continuous strip, but that it's a little bit more kind of organic than that. Upside down there is the bar footstool, that I purchased on eBay for about £30–40. Again, I've got a matching cushion to go with that, so it looks like it's part of the suite. Beneath that I've got a bamboo table. I think it's probably from the 90s, to be honest. I don't think it has much age to it. It's the sort of thing that your mum or your nan would probably have in their conservatory, to be honest. But I will see what I can do with it once the final layout is all put in place. Otherwise I'm probably just going to sell it. So that's it for the big pieces of furniture. I've got my tikis over here, which will probably go outside. On here I've got a pair of parrots that I bought recently on eBay. The seller sent me an offer and I couldn't resist. I thought they were really cute. I've got this little diorama set up in a bowl which I need to reorganise, restock. It might not stay in here. It did used to go in my son's room. He was obsessed with Volkswagens, so I had it set up like a little tiki campfire, but I'll have to see if there's a home for it in here. In this box I've got what was and what again will become the door handles for the Tiki bar, for the Kursed Piranha. So basically I just need to screw those to the French doors, to the bifold doors, once we're ready to look at the outside. Don't think there's anything else of any particular interest down here. The flamingos are not staying, that's my only rule really. I'm not a purist when it comes to Tiki. I suppose my style is a mixture of nautical and Easter Island, kind of kitschy Tiki pop, as you can probably tell by my Tiki sign that will go outside. I'm not a purist by any means, and I think living in the UK as well, it's a lot more difficult, particularly so many years after the Tiki revival and the original sort of Tiki vibe, to get genuine and authentic bits. When you Google Tiki these days on eBay, it just brings up some of the most awful, irrelevant stuff, so it's really hard to find things these days. But I do try, and I do go on eBay quite regularly along with some other places. I bought this punch bowl and cups a couple of years ago. Haven't used it. I don't know if I will, but it's certainly very nice for display purposes. This I picked up in TK Maxx. Nice Easter Island head, and then I've got a couple of bottle openers there. One's like a 1960s resin, one filled with shells, and the other one is a Tiki. Then this is my bowl, predominantly full of lights. So I've got a large pufferfish there. I've got a pufferfish inside a float. So this isn't a real glass float. They're hard to get hold of. They're really heavy. They're very fragile. It's not something I ever really want to start drilling into. So I found a place in France that sells plastic balls that clip together, so it makes things a lot easier for getting things in and out. Here we've got just a plain pufferfish. Doesn't have a bulb in it, but he hangs off the ceiling, and then at the bottom of this box are some other fishing floats, again, that I've used making the from the plastic balls. Makes life a lot easier. In here again, I've got loads of bits and pieces ready to go out on display, mainly my Tiki mugs, a few other decorative things on top. I bought this sign on the internet, I think off eBay, a year or so ago. I'm going to change the colour of the front, I think, to a coral pink so that it matches the colour of my sofas. And then I've just got a couple of different Tiki ornaments to go out. And I've got this as well. This hut has always been really striking when I've had it out on display. I don't know where it's from. I should probably do a bit of research. I could probably work it out with a map that I've got in one of my books showing the different building styles depending on where you are in the world. But I should do a little bit more research when I have some time. But there's all of our Tiki mugs in there and a little bit of grass thatch as well. So on my walls, on the top half, I would normally use the slightly darker matting from Little Grass Shack. It kind of incorporates all the different colours I've used in my other decor here. So it's got the darker browns in it as well as the light. I'm not so keen on the light stuff, I don't know. I just feel like having it a bit darker in here gives it a bit more ambience, but you know, we'll see. I have to order that soon. It's about £155 a roll from what I remember, but I think, having worked it out, I think I can do what I need to using just 2 rolls. And then what I'm going to do, that I hadn't done in my last Tiki bar, is make the border between the bamboo that goes on the bottom half and the matting that goes on the top half out of a carved strip of wood. So Little Grass Shack again do stock these usually, but they have been out of stock for ages. So I'm going to make my own. I bought myself a Dremel a few weeks ago. I've done a bit of practice on a scrap of wood and it turned out okay. So here's some of my Tiki pictures. That one on top is not a Tiki picture, but I bought it for the frame. So there's one of my pin-ups. And then under here, I've got my map and one of my velvet paintings as well. Again, my artwork that I put on display tends to be a mixture of all sorts of things, but sticking quite strictly, I suppose, to it being Tiki. So, for example, I buy frames on eBay that tend to come with East Asian style art, chinoiserie style, but I take it for the frames, to be honest. So there's 4 in that box there. Ignore the flamingos, again they've kind of been misfiled in here, but they'll be going back into my main house. And then this is one of the pair of seahorses that I cast myself. I bought the moulds maybe 8 years ago off Etsy, cast them out of plaster and then hand painted them. So the wallpaper on the back as well is actually the wallpaper that's going to go in our rumpus room inside the house. We've got a bit of a 1950s vibe going on. The frame again came from I suppose like a Thai inspired silk painting. There were 2 of them, so I covered it to make it just a little bit more sort of Tiki vibe. And the other one's down there as well, that will soon be installed. And I think apart from that, that's probably everything that's here at the moment. Most of my other bits and pieces are in these 2 boxes, 4 boxes on that side, and then those baskets there. And they'll all come out bit by bit when I'm actually ready to decorate. But as you can see, for now we've got we've got plants growing up from next door, so I'm going to fill in those ventilation gaps with some blocks of wood, because I don't really want anything, including bugs, coming in. So yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do. What I'll do over the next few weeks is I'm going to insulate all the walls first, then I'll do my first fit of electrics and get them all put together by an electrician, and then I will OSB the walls and put probably some thin ply on the ceiling, and then it'll be time for the fun bit, so getting the matting up with my staple gun, getting my bamboo all unrolled, and getting my skirting and my, I suppose it'd be like dado rail, a Tiki dado rail put in place. Down here where you can see this sort of double joint there, and then the same on this side, although it's tucked behind a bit of wood. My plan is I'm going to cast myself some jade tiles over the next few weeks, so I'm going to hand carve one out of clay first and then cast a mould using one of my moulding kits, and then I will produce them en masse using plaster of Paris with a built-in hardener in it, paint them green. Jade tiles for some reason just seem to be one of the most expensive things per item. I mean, here in the UK, before you've even imported them, they cost maybe £180 each, and they tend to be available outside of the UK, so then we've got all of the shipping and tax and so on them, so it's just prohibitive to even think about creating a wall of them from originals. But I will try and stick as closely as I can to the sort of authenticity of the originals. I need to probably make myself 5 or 6 for each side, and then that'll be a nice wall with bamboo running either side and in between each tile, and they'll be tied with twine or rope, just to kind of give a little bit of interest, a bit of partition. And then I've got my fabric all sorted anyway for my sofas, so I just need to again think about what I'm going to do with the doors. We want to be able to open them fully in summer, but also have it really closed and cosy, particularly in winter. I do plan to use the bar the whole year through. I live in the south of England, I live in London, but from probably October to March, April time, it's just not a very usable space outside. So I need to figure out how I'm going to heat this Tiki bar. In my old Tiki bar I used to have a little electric fire. It had a bit of a mid-century vibe to it, it's very nice, but it was really noisy. So I'm thinking this time I'm going to go for something a bit more discreet, and here I'm going to have a cabinet, and what I might do in the kickboard of that cabinet is install an under cabinet heater, the type that you'd have in your kitchens, and perhaps using a little bit of the space behind my sofas. I may also add a little oil radiator. I have one already waiting for me in my shed. It's quite low, but just leaving that on like a sort of tick over, so it comes on for an hour or two every day, I think would be quite a good way of heating this place. So I'll just pop outside and you can have a little look at the building itself. Got my lobster traps there from the Isle of Harris. So this is where the Tiki bar is going to go, the Tiki bar sign. I'm going to put probably a hula girl or a little Maui up there, and then something down the sides holding a torch. I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to go for Easter Island or one of the other Tiki styles, but I do think it's kind of asking for something to go either side with a flickering lamp. So that's it, that's the Kursed Piranha. Stage 1 and come back for more as time goes on, and ultimately at some point in summer, you know, when it's all complete. So following on from that video, I thought I'd just pop up what my digital design looks like for the Tiki bar. You can see my hanging chair there on the right, or as close as I could get to finding something that looked like it. And my sofa, the bar is there at the back with the shelves and the cabinets and the fridge and the freezer, with that bamboo bar at the front. Those are my Tiki lights on the ceiling, and then the 2 jade tile walls that I talked about in the video. That's the little cabinet there and my armchair, plus my little Albini table there, and the round shelf that I got a few years ago, which will take pride of place, and there'll be some beautiful things on display there, I'm sure, once I get to that stage where I can actually decorate. I've also popped up a few pictures to show you what the Tiki bar used to look like, the Kursed Piranha #1. So we start with the sofas that I mentioned that my mum had upholstered for me, and here is what it looks like with the cushions on. Then we move on to some other images of the bar as it used to look in the old days in the Kursed Piranha #1, a little bit smaller, certainly feeling more spacious now. That was my collection of Tiki mugs. And then we move on to a picture of my dog very briefly. I really look forward to having you back next time so you can see what progress I've made. Thank you.